I think the women before me definitely had it harder. Skateboarding was different. The world was different.
Here's Lizzie Armanto. She's earned a gold in this event.
She's got that power and grace.
Crowd's hyped. This is where she shines.
Lizzie's career is definitely inspirational to a lot of us.
First time seeing Lizzie, I was like, this kid's got motivation. I could just tell she was like, I'm gonna get better.
I've seen her take some gnarly slams and just get back up.
Back then, we didn't think we'd be able to make a career out of it. No girl had their name on the bottom of a board.
She transcends skating. People recognize her name, her iconic look. She has raised awareness for women, and that's hugely important for the growth of the sport.
I grew up in Santa Monica. My mom worked full-time, so I pretty much grew up and had to watch my younger brother organize sports. It was kind of out of the question for me. So my mom signed us up for the local skate park, and I pretty much took to it, and it was the place we'd go after school, and the skate park ended up being my outlet.
When I was growing up, there weren't many girls at all, and the only ones that I knew about were the girls who were skating in like X Games. I thought it was really cool when I met Lizzie, because then I could hit her up to skate and hang out.
When I met Alicia, I remember watching her skate and she was ripping, and I even asked her how to do a frontside air.
My advice to her was to kick, turn, grab, and jump, which is a really crappy explanation of how to do frontside airs. Watching Lizzie skate, I always thought that she progressed really fast, and she was a quick learner. She always used to try things that were out of her comfort zone. Instead of taking steps to learning a certain trick, she'd just go for it. I feel like that's the mentality she's carried for a long time.
I heard of the Vans combi pool through other people that skated, and I was like, oh yeah, I want to check that out someday. My mom took me down there once, and I didn't really know what I signed up for. It's like proving grounds. There would be the most heated sessions, shoulder to shoulder, people snaking. It was organized chaos, but still a lot of chaos. That was my first taste of more people from the skateboarding industry.
A bunch of legends go there. Lester Kasai, Cab, Christian Asoy, Jeff Grosso. It was cool because we got to skate with all of them. Grosso was always down with all of us and always sitting in our corner and pushing us to get better.
I feel that was the spark for me, just to be this is where I want to be. And these are the people I want to hang out with.
10 plus years ago, you would notice if a new girl or woman came on the scene. It was a small handful, maybe 10 women that were skating gnarly. I remember Lizzie showed up at one of the old Protect Pool Party contests, and I was like, this kid's got some sort of motivation going on. And then, yeah, obviously the next year and the next year, she was starting to refine her skating.
She definitely just goes for it. She was doing stalled inverts, and that was really crazy for girls to be doing at the time.
I saw her skating in practice. Two things I noticed. One, she was very young to just be jumping into a pretty hardcore combi pool session. And two, she was going for it, dropping in as if she belonged there.
I won combi in 2010. I was really stoked because it was a big deal for me. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to all these contests.
Make some noise for Lizzie Armanto.
And then X Games, they were gonna debut park, and they were gonna include women's park. And so that was a huge deal. It was in Spain, and it was just such a crazy event.
Her first X Games. This is the #1 qualifier.
It was one of the first events where it had substantial prize money. It was gonna be broadcast on TV. It was the first event that I could go and tell my whole family that I was gonna be a part of, and they'd be like, oh, you're gonna be on X Games, so cool. Whereas everything else I'd done before that, they're just yeah, you're just skating around, doing your little things. Nice.
X Games Barcelona, Lizzie with the gold.
Going to X Games definitely was getting a verification by my family, or getting the check mark. At that time, there wasn't really women on core skateboarding companies, and you know, there was like girls ripping and there were sponsors, but like no one really knew how to meet in the middle. It wasn't a reality.
I remember Lizzie was like, I'm gonna do this skateboarding thing and really try to make it happen. It seemed impossible because there wasn't like that much money in women's skateboarding.
There were very few board brands that would do more than maybe flow a board or two to women skaters, and few would even do that. Making a living off of skateboarding, yeah, there's no sure shot back then.
It was scary, but at the same time I knew if I didn't try, then that seemed scarier.
Lizzie had this drive that was very rare. She wasn't relying on the fact that she was female, that she's good looking. Her drive was to just skate. I felt like her whole vibe was very much in line with Birdhouse. And so I just called her up one day.
Tony reached out to me and then he was like, yeah, I want to put you on the team and like I want you to be a part of Birdhouse. I was kind of tripping.
After Lizzie got on Birdhouse, I feel like stuff kind of started rolling in for her. You know, she was doing more demos and traveling all over the world. She got really good at skating and people started to notice it.
Getting on Vans was such a big honor.
The footwear brands getting involved, that was probably right when things started going crazy. The numbers were going up. There were more and more girls skating. A lot of doors were opening and like the value was there.
Lizzie was hyper-focused on having a career in skating. You know, she goes out there and competes regularly, gets photos, gets footage.
I remember her Trans World cover being a huge deal. Trans World never had a woman on the cover, I don't think.
Lizzie definitely showed a lot of the other girls, we can do it too.
Lizzie with the chance to win it all.
She wanted to see how far she could take it for a living. I had a lot of respect for that.
After Trans World, I got the cover of Thrasher and my pro board, and what more is there? Like, where's there to go from here?
Lizzie's pushed a lot of limits. First girl to do the loop.
I think her legacy is progression. You know, she moved the needle for women's skateboarding in the right direction.
There are many girls that have contributed to this movement. They had to endure all kinds of bias and stereotypes and unfair treatment. And I think that Lizzie was one of the few who rose above that, kept doing it, and finally girls took notice and said, I want to do that too.
In skateboarding, if you show up and you give your all, that's all you have. And I think a lot of skateboarders know that. You give your all and that's enough.